I'm Steve with All About Rain Gutters in Renton, Washington. As a full-service gutter company, we have a lot of experience with gutter guards. People ask us all the time, should they get a gutter guard or not? We have a lot of experience pulling gutter guards off people's gutters, but we also have a lot of experience putting on a really high-quality gutter guard that we believe in. Let's take a look at our recycle bin here. We've got a bunch of different types of gutter guards in there that we can take a look at and talk about, and then we can talk about a gutter guard that we like to install. Alright, so along with the gutters and downspouts, etc., we have a lot of gutter guards as well in here to choose from. So let's start with this one here. Almost everybody knows this brand. It's a very common reverse curve gutter guard. Reverse curve because it goes in this way. The water comes off the roof, goes here, and theoretically all the debris falls off and the water goes in. It works in some cases, in other cases it doesn't. Sometimes we find these things completely full of debris. This one isn't too full right now, maybe because it's been taken off and bummed around, or maybe it just worked in this case. We also often find wasp nests built in these things. So that's one of the negative ones of this reverse curve. Here's another reverse curve style, common here in the Seattle area. We have this fairly ugly looking thing where you have this big sheet that goes between the shingles on this side and it goes over a gutter, and then it comes down this way. The debris, I guess, is supposed to fall off. What we find a lot of times, and what customers find, is that debris gets stuck here and it doesn't fall off. So that's why we have a lot of this on a regular basis. There's another one over here, right here, and it's the same idea, basically the same deal. And what tends to happen is fir needles tend to get caught in this groove right here. So it may work for a while, but it tends to fail over time as well. In addition to the reverse curve gutter guards, the meshed gutter guards are very common as well. Here's a very popular national brand, and this is a great illustration of why we end up throwing some of these away. What happens is on this particular brand, several things happen that are not good. This pulls away from the body. Here's another place where it's done that, right here. And you can tell by looking down here that that's not uncommon. We didn't just pull these out. This was just how it came off the house. So here's an example. So basically, this is one of the detriments here. And one of the other big things is algae grows on the bottom side of the mesh. If it's too fine, this will happen. And what will happen is water will go on there and then overflow it, because it just can't penetrate that. So that's one of the negative things about a very fine mesh. Another thing about this guard and most guards is that it lays pretty much flat in the gutter. Let's say here's a gutter, it pretty much lays in there flat. That's a detriment because debris more easily sets on the top. And with that, well, I'll show you with another guard here. I think we've got this one here. This is a perforated cheap aluminum, very, very inexpensive. And this is a good example of, here's the gutter, here's the gutter guard. It has some good benefit. It'll keep out broadleaves, but in the Pacific Northwest, the fir needles and seed pods tend to end up making their way in the gutter. And if this is the bottom of the gutter, the stuff ends up at the bottom and ends up mucking up and then cakes over, and eventually it just builds up more and more. And the other negative thing about the ones that are like this is that it lays, again, pretty much flat in the gutter. And what happens is debris sits on there, which isn't the end of the world. However, over time, what can happen is moss can grow on there. And particularly in the shadow of the roof. If this is the edge of the shingle, it's usually in there like that, and then moss more easily grows here as the debris accumulates. So it's just one more thing that a person would have to clean over time. It does buy some time for you. What else do we have here? So we got this one. Here's I'm jumping around here. This is a mesh product similar to this one. This one's a little, well, I'm just going to say it's stronger. This one failed. I'd say primarily this one failed because on the job that we took it off of, the installer didn't know what they were doing. That's a really important factor. You can have a decent gutter guard, but if you have an installer or if that doesn't know what they're doing, doesn't know how water's going to come off the roof, and how that's going to be affected by a gutter guard, you're going to have problems. So it's really important that the installers know how to install and know what to do to disperse water over areas where there's high flows, like inside valleys. So anyway, this guard probably is a fairly good one, but it was a complete failure because of the installation. Another important factor is the company that backs up the gutter guard. This company didn't back it up, and the customer had us pull it off, and we put on our gutter guard. I don't know if you could pan back there. We got that black gutter guard. Let's see if we got one somewhere up here. That black powder coated one is very commonly used by gutter cleaners and window cleaners to put over gutters. However, in the Pacific Northwest, all it does is reduce the amount of debris that goes in, because fir needles definitely will get inside there. So it's kind of worthless. Let's see what else we got here. This one here, so we've seen a bit of, here's one that almost everybody's seen. These you can find at the big box stores. They're very, very inexpensive. Some people have success with them, but most people don't. What tends to happen with this and most vinyl products is that there's a lot of expansion and contraction, and they tend to pull away and just be too flimsy or a failure. So we pull a lot of these off. Let's see if we're just about done here. You know, this one here is a really interesting one. These are very, very common, these inserts. Well, here's a great example. This is a gutter. Do you get a chance to see that? See that stuff that's in there? It's basically the breaking down of this. The sun breaks this down. The UV rays breaks it down. That's why it's kind of pitted, like you know. I don't know how to say that. Anyway, it's damaged there. And this here is what's underneath there. This roof grit and particles of this. Here's another one that might be more easy to see. This was taken out of a gutter. So this is like a valley because that's where the sun has broken down the product, and then debris gets in there and kind of cakes in there and it creates a problem. The other interesting thing about this is it's flammable. Here's a newer one. So let's just see. I got let's see if we can light it on fire here. We all know that you don't want a gutter guard that can catch on fire. So here's one type. It's an older one. Here's another one, a newer one. Some of these are supposed to be flame proof, but I've never found one that hasn't caught on fire yet. So basically, if you got debris on there, like here, and I need to back off a little bit. If you have debris on the gutter guard, like here, you get an ember on there, and it's going to be a problem. It's just like, see this right here? This is illustrative of what happens to your money. It goes up in smoke when you have a gutter guard that ends up in this recycle bin. It's just money that's being burnt. Thankfully, not all the gutter guards are like this. I've got one that I'm pleased to put on people's gutters. Not make it to the dump. It's Gutterglove Pro. We've been installing it here in this area for going on about 9 years and have a lot of confidence in it. This gutter guard is unlike the other gutter guards. It has a very, very sturdy anodized aluminum frame with channels. Super duper heavy duty. I mean, this thing is like amazing. It's got surgical stainless steel mesh with holes that are just small enough to keep out roof grit and fir needles and seed pods, but large enough to allow for aeration, which is very, very important, especially in wet climates like the Seattle area. So the way it sits on, I'm showing you a 5-foot section. This is how it comes in 5-foot lengths. Here's a gutter, typical 5-inch K-style gutter, and it sits on there like this. Basically, we screw this in every 2.5 feet to the upper outer edge of the gutter, and this is your typical fascia. Typically the roof shingle would be here, and the shingle would go on the top, and the tar paper and or the drip edge would be on the bottom. We like to have a downward-outward pitch so that debris can more easily slough off, and should it need a little maintenance, we give customers an extension pole and a brush so they can brush it occasionally from the ground safely and quickly. So if you have any questions about this product, which is the one that we think is the best, or the other products which we have some concerns about, or if you're just interested in a range of gutters, gutter cleaning, gutter maintenance, etc., we'd be happy to receive a call. Our telephone number is 425-228-9700, or check us out at allaboutraingutters.com. Thank you.